They stood face to face and just stared at each other. Adam had nothing to say. Apparently neither did the female. Still, the silence did not feel awkward. It was as though they were getting to know each other, just by observing. He watched her as she pushed a lock of her brown wavy hair behind her ear and continued to look up at him. A glow appeared in her eyes that seemed perfectly matched with the warmth that seemed to fill his chest. This pull he felt, this connection, it was mutual. This was what Eric had been talking about. Still, there was a lot of distance between them, at least figuratively. Adam could not hear her thoughts. Did that mean they weren't truly mates? His heart insisted on the opposite. She was the one. He would bet his life on it. He cleared his throat, but she spoke up before he had a chance. "It was you in the woods last night," she said. Her voice had a warmth as well as a rawness that tugged at his emotions. So this was what his woman sounded like. Adam nodded. "I'm sorry if I spooked you. Something came over me and I just had to chase you." He pressed his lips together. It sounded so silly now that he'd said it out loud. The woman smiled briefly and averted her gaze. It was a bit unnerving, I must admit. "Adam, where are you?" Eric's voice called out for him from the other side of the woods. He was quite far away still, but it made him nervous nonetheless. The last thing he needed right now was to be found by the rest of the team. "Your colleagues?" the woman asked. "Yeah, we're meant to be canvassing the camp, questioning people about those attacks." Adam responded without much consideration. It didn't even occur to him to keep the woman in the dark about their purpose here. She frowned. "You think it's one of the residents? One of our own?" Adam paused. He wasn't quite sure what to think. "I have to tell you, some of the team were suspicious about your presence at the crime scene. You left behind a scrap of fabric right next to it when you ran. I'm so sorry." "Great!" The woman folded her arms and shook her head in dismay. This was his fault. His decision to run after her had caused her to leave behind evidence of her presence at the crime scene. Somehow he had to fix it. But how?